The rain on Outpost Sigma 7 wasn't like Earth rain. It fell in thick, gelatinous drops that clung to everything, making the night feel suffocating. Michael Reyes stood at his apartment's tiny window, watching the downpour paint streaks across the reinforced glass. He'd been stationed on this backwater colony for 3 years now, maintaining atmospheric processors that kept the settlement breathable. It was lonely work, but loneliness had become familiar. A sound cut through the drumming rain. Soft, almost imperceptible. A voice, perhaps. Michael pressed his ear to the door, his heart quickening. There it was again. A whisper, trembling and desperate. "We can leave. If you don't want us here, we'll go. I promise. Please, just one night." Michael's hand hovered over the door panel. Colony regulations were clear. No fraternization with the Zitharian refugees. The insectoid species had fled their dying world 6 months ago, and tensions ran high. Humans feared disease, resource depletion, cultural contamination. The settlement, council had confined the Zitharians to the industrial sector, far from residential zones, yet someone was outside his door. He opened it. A figure crouched in the corridor, hunched over something precious. In the dim light, Michael saw her, a Zitharan female, her chitinous exoskeleton dull and cracked, missing several protective plates along her thorax. Her compound eyes, normally iridescent, were clouded with exhaustion. In her forearms, she cradled a small bundle wrapped in what looked like torn insulation fabric. "Please," she whispered, her translator device crackling with a dying battery. "Just tonight we'll disappear. You won't see us again." The child, because that's what the bundle was, stirred weakly. Michael caught a glimpse of tiny limbs, translucent and fragile, covered in the soft membrane of a juvenile Zitharan. The infant's breathing sounded labored, each breath a desperate wheeze. "Come inside," Michael said, stepping back. The mother, Ilara, she would later tell him her name was, didn't move. She stared at him as if he'd spoken an alien language. Perhaps kindness was alien to her now. "I mean it. You can't stay out here." "Come in." Slowly, painfully, Ilara rose to her feet. She was tall, nearly 7 feet, but she moved like someone who'd forgotten how to stand straight. Michael noticed the way she favored her left side, how one of her legs dragged slightly, injured, starving, desperate. She crossed the threshold as if entering sacred ground. Michael's apartment was small. A single room with a sleeping pod, a food processor, and a workspace cluttered with circuit boards and diagnostic tools. He cleared off his workbench quickly, laying down a thermal blanket. "Put the child here. It's warm." Ilara hesitated, then gently placed her infant on the blanket. The child's membrane pulsed with a sickly rhythm, struggling to regulate temperature. Michael had seen enough xenobiology reports to recognize hypothermia. "When did she last eat?" he asked, already moving to his medical kit. Ilara corrected softly. 3 days, maybe 4. "I lost count." Michael's jaw tightened. 3 days. The Zitharan metabolism was faster than humans. 3 days for them was like a week of starvation for him. He pulled out a nutrient injector, the kind used for emergency metabolic support. "This is universal. It should work." He looked at Ilara. "May I?" She nodded, her mandibles clicking in what he'd learned was Zitharan assent. The injection went into the child's softer underbelly. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the membrane brightened, shifting from gray to a faint blue. The wheezing eased. Not much, but enough. Ilara made a sound, a chittering trill that Michael's translator couldn't process. But he didn't need translation for grief-soaked relief. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, human." "Michael. My name is Michael Reyes." "Ilara." She touched her thorax in what must have been a gesture of introduction. "And this is Kieran, my son, my last." Her voice broke. "My only." Michael didn't press. Instead, he prepared a meal from his food processor, protein paste and vitamin supplements, bland but nutritious. He gave most of it to Ilara, who ate with the mechanical efficiency of someone who'd forgotten food could be anything but fuel. As the night deepened, Ilara told her story in fragments. The evacuation from her world. The transport ship that malfunctioned, killing half its passengers. The settlement council's temporary housing that was really an abandoned warehouse. The human overseer who'd demanded favors for extra rations, her refusal. The punishment, expulsion from even that miserable shelter. I tried the shelters in the industrial sector, she said, her voice flat with exhaustion. They're full. Everyone is. So many of us. Not enough space. Not enough anything. She'd wandered the colony for hours, Kieran dying in her arms, until she'd found the residential sector. She'd tried a dozen doors before Michael's. Most people had shouted at her through their intercoms. 2 had threatened to call security. 1 had simply laughed. I heard you moving inside, Ilara continued. I heard you were alone. No family sounds, I thought. Maybe someone alone would understand being alone. Michael felt something crack inside his chest. She was right. He did understand. You can stay, he said. Not just tonight, until we figure something out. Ilara's compound eyes widened. You would risk sanctions? They'll punish humans who help us. Let them try. Over the following days, Michael became a smuggler of compassion. He diverted food from his rations, filed false reports to cover Ilara's presence, and used his engineering access to tap into the colony's medical database. Kieran grew stronger, his membrane brightening to the healthy azure of young Zitharans. Ilara's injuries began to heal, her movements regaining their natural grace. But Michael did more than provide shelter. He listened. He learned about Zitharan poetry, about their concept of nest memory, the belief that love creates spaces in the universe where souls can always return. He taught Ilara about Earth, about loneliness, about the small rebellions that keep the spirit alive. On the 7th night, security came. Someone had reported unusual energy consumption in Michael's unit. The enforcer at the door was human, young, following orders. Michael met him in the corridor, the door sealed behind him. Routine check, the enforcer said, uncomfortable. Let me in, please. No. Sir, I can override. Then do it, but you'll have to explain to your supervisor why you arrested an engineer for feeding a starving child. Michael's voice was steel. Go ahead. Make that call. Let's see how that plays on the colony news feeds. The enforcer shifted. Behind his visor, Michael could see the calculation, the human moment of choice. Your consumption looks normal to me, the enforcer finally said. False alarm. You have a good night, Mr. Reyes. When Michael returned inside, Ilara was standing with Kieran in her arms, ready to run. It's okay, Michael said. We're okay. Ilara's mandibles trembled. Why? Why do this for us? Michael thought. Of his own loneliness, the empty years, the ache of being unseen. He thought of all the doors that had closed in his life and this one door he'd chosen to open. Because someone should, he said simply. Because you asked, and I could answer. That's enough. Ilara stepped forward and did something remarkable. She touched his face with her gentlest arm, a gesture of profound intimacy in Zitharan culture. You gave us more than shelter, she whispered. You gave us proof that the universe still has room for kindness. Outside, the rain continued to fall. But inside that small apartment, 2 lives had changed, and a third had remembered what it meant to be human, to see suffering and choose against all logic to care. The door had opened, and in the opening everything transformed.